Dick Standish reported here for more than 40 years.
The real story here, though, is the people and the jobs.
He began at the Rutgers campus radio station, worked at WHWH in Princeton, and joined the team that made news radio #1.
A major fire is reported at Garden State Park.
As it burned, the track owner told Dick exclusively he might not rebuild. The coverage won the Best Radio Story Award from the Philadelphia Press Association. When casinos were legalized for Atlantic City, Dick was there with the decision makers, Governor Byrne and Mayor Lazaro.
Real money gaming today.
12 years later, he quizzed casino owner Donald Trump about his gambling finances. Dick went to 8 political conventions and covered many major elections.
They think they have won a big victory tonight.
He often interviewed powerful leaders.
Couldn't operate a pawn shop.
Dick won the top Sigma Delta Chi Award when he broke a political bombshell. Mayor Bill Green would not run for re-election. The city's managing director wanted the job, and so did a famous former mayor. The TV stations battled head-to-head election night.
Our polling shows a lot of very interesting material.
Dick provided the analysis, created the graphics, and helped frame the questions during 8 years of eyewitness news polling. Dick Standish filed thousands of stories, many of them live reports on breaking news. If nor'easters were blasting sand on the beaches or winter temperatures were in the teens, Dick was there.
You're probably the only person who you can stick out there in the middle of a snowstorm, an implosion, gale force winds, and you can talk for a minute straight, keep us entertained and informed.
Dick, you are absolutely amazing. You are one of the best reporters out there.
Dick Standish, CBS 3, Eyewitness News.
All right, Dick, great stuff as always.
Now, please welcome Dick Standish into the Broadcast Pioneers Hall of Fame.
Well, my thanks, obviously, to Jerry and to Pat for being included in, as we have heard from all the others tonight, an awesome group of inductees. It's been fascinating to hear everybody's different points of view. Just a couple of quick thoughts as to Bud Gallo, who's going to be your Man of the Year. I was lucky to work with him, and I can tell you now, a man who was, in essence, a master of audio and production, was critical to the growth of that radio station. So, sir, well done. As to Charlene, who I also worked with, lucky enough to work with, and usually did what she ordered me to do, I just say, what a job. She was responsible for getting the video in every place on the air, show after show, but there's maybe 20 pieces of video in a show. It's constantly changing, and she handled it effortlessly. So Charlene, my friend. Overall, in general, I've just been a very lucky guy in radio and in television. Great mentors at Rutgers and then at the Princeton station. Lucky enough to catch on with news radio when I was about 25. Everybody else in there was these older announcers with big voices, kind of like Pat Delsey still sounds, Tom LeMaine. The year I started in news radio, to give you some idea of changes in how things go, the total number of women involved in the newsroom operation was 1. She came in 3 days a week to do features. It wasn't just advice on how to make brownies for our boys in Vietnam, but all I can say is, thank goodness, that is a long, long ways in the past. There's so many changes technically, culturally, the rest, in the time I've been doing it. Journalism in Philadelphia, It's amazing how quickly it has all gone and how it has changed. Days where we're sitting there typing away, obviously, but the culture of the change and what the content should be. When I first got there, broadcast announcers were rewriting wire copy. And not to shock you, they even would rewrite a piece straight out of the Inquirer. That all changed under the management in the 70s. Fred Walters, Nelson Cohen, two great newsmen, leaders. I was so lucky to be part of that. They had a very simple approach, and it's an approach long forgotten as I watch cable news, not long forgotten by me, but forgotten by the doers. It was simple: accuracy, fairness. Somebody doesn't want to give you their side of the story, try a second time, make sincere efforts, unaired whatsoever, rumors, unaired whatsoever, our personal opinion as to what was right and wrong. We're supposed to try to talk perspective, analysis, what certain others have to say, what you might expect, but not making judgments that voters, listeners could make. Also, in terms of change quickly, was television at the time. I was very lucky. I worked at Channel 3 for a long, long time. I began with Vince Leonard, Jack Jones, Bev Williams, Trudy, who was here earlier, and Malcolm, and many, many more. Many times in the street, somebody would say, "Hey, Robin." Robin McIntosh, of course, and many others. 1979, we're covering 3 Mile Island nuclear emergency. This is how technology changes. Fine. Big stories, important news conferences, maybe you'd have a live event, but sidebars and other stories, we would pull out a $5 or $10 bill, stick it in the videotape. One of us would go over to the railroad station, either in Harrisburg or flag down a train in Elizabethtown, give our field tape to the conductor, who at 30th Street Station would give it to a desk assistant from Channel 3, and that was the way the news, the video, the story went to get on television. And that wasn't just a Channel 3 doing that. Things changed so quickly that within a year, I was live from the floor of the Republican convention in Detroit when Reagan was nominated, live from the floor of the convention in New York when Jimmy Carter was renominated by his party, and live, how that has changed the amount of information, what you expect so routinely these days is just incredible. Whether it's all worked out for the better, I wish I could say I hoped it had done. I think when you watch somebody like a Bob Kelly doing the traffic in the morning with all the live images of exactly what it looks like right now, you're getting information that none of us could have really fully communicated in the past before that. So I was involved in many things. I was very, very lucky. One thought about what Pete was explaining, you know, all general assignment reporters had a small slice of the same kind of experience, talking to victims, survivors, people whose lives were just crushed, ruined. And the only thing I'd say, following up on Pete's superb, elegant thoughts, was why on earth hasn't there been somebody, especially in national politics, who could honestly, actively try to help the people in those ghettos, those neighborhoods, let's call them. We could go across Philadelphia tonight in 45 minutes. I could show you where the jobs have disappeared in 40 years. Stop after stop, Campbell Soup, Breyers in West Philadelphia, Ortlieb's, Schmitz. It just goes on. And what the answer is, I'm not sure on that. As for the note from Pat early in the evening about the archives, if I could just mention this very briefly to you to give you an idea how important it is if you have something to share. You get it back, it's just duplicated. Early 80s, I need video to fill out some political pieces, Frank Rizzo, et cetera, these other people. I go in, I'm told, well, our 70s film has gone to Temple. I call Temple. Well, we donated your film to the Library of Congress. No problem. I called down to the Library of Congress. No, you can't come down. And, I wanted to just visit our film for a few days, bring it right back to them after I dubbed it off. No, you can't come down. Well, why is that? Well, it's out in Rockville, Maryland, in a warehouse. Well, what's the problem with that? It hasn't been cataloged. End of story. No video, that was it. So the effort by Jerry, some of his co-conspirators, Mike Muterick, Eric Address, and the rest, do a fantastic job of bringing it in, organizing it, dubbing it off cleanly, and preserving it, and an effort well worth supporting. It's just not really, honestly, up to the television stations to save it all. I'd like to just briefly thank some of the people with me here tonight who have allowed me to have the time in broadcasting that I have. My great wife, Kim, a superb reporter on her own, did a piece after Angelo Bruno was blown away, analyzing it. Superb. One of the best we've ever had. My daughters, proud to say, Dr. Courtney Standish, a psychologist from Boston, flew in today, statistician from Annapolis, Anne, virtual genius, she's up for that. Also with me tonight, Vince DeFriscio, a veteran producer at 3, who his insights and thoughts went into making the little biography piece. Darryl Rode, who is the main man at Keystone Video now. He was a Channel 3 producer. He's had a great business he has built. He assigned one of his young hotshot editors, who was a broadcast pioneer scholarship recipient, Jerry, to edit it. I got it done. And other than that, I'd just like to thank my union, AFTRA, my fellow shop stewards, Mike Quinn and Robin McIntosh. Thank you very much.